Talking. Hi. How is everybody today? Hopefully everyone is doing well north of the border, and if anyone's watching south of the border, I also hope you're okay. Welcome to the live cooking demo. I almost forgot to set up my laptop and camera because I have been so embroiled in the news and what's being said on social media right now about what's happening in Washington. So it's a little nutty. So if you haven't heard about what's going on, definitely check out the news after this video or like on the side, but don't leave. Anyway, this is not a political show. It is a cooking show, but it is just a little ridiculous what's happening now versus what was happening in the summer with the Black Lives Matter movement. So take a look at the news when you get a chance, and just be safe if you're down there in Washington. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. So now we are going to get on to a special request recipe, which I love. I think it's almost the first request I've gotten, and that is from Sue from Calling All Vegans, who requested a creamy spinach dip. And I did a trial run yesterday, and this is like the best recipe I've ever made. It is so delicious. I kind of got inspiration from a bunch of different places online, so I'll probably link those in the comments after I load the video. But I ate like half the pan last night, and I'll probably eat just as much tonight. It's so good. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. But the other thing is my mom made us a creamy spinach dip, a vegan creamy spinach dip recently, and it was so good. So this is a slightly different version in terms of the ingredients and stuff, but it's all stuff that you might have at home. It's pretty simple stuff. There's one special ingredient that you might have to go to Bulk Barn to get, but it's not rare. It's a very simple ingredient. So this is my take on a creamy spinach dip, and I will tell you the ingredients. So what you will need for this creamy spinach dip is, you guessed it, nutritional yeast, which I always put in everything. You're going to need spinach, obviously. I just used frozen spinach and I pushed all the water out of it. You're also going to need some medium tofu, which you can't see in this bowl because it's all the same color. And then you're going to need some sort of herbs and seasonings, which I'll explain to you, salt and pepper. And you're going to need some plant-based milk. So this is oat milk. And then the sort of special ingredient that's not super special is tapioca starch or tapioca flour. So this is, I don't even know what it's made out of, tapioca. I'll have to look that up. But it's similar to cornstarch, and you probably could use cornstarch in this recipe, but tapioca starch it's going to make that stretchy kind of texture to the cheese in this recipe. So if you can get some tapioca starch at the grocery store or at the Bulk Barn here in Canada, any bulk food store probably will carry it. Get tapioca starch, and you can use it to thicken. You can use it in place of cornstarch if you buy a bunch of it. So it's definitely super useful. And that's it. Like, that's all the ingredients you need. It comes together in like a few minutes. I don't know why, but I'm always trying to like make it like a super short recipe that's easy to demonstrate. So this one will be super short. And then you can eat it afterwards with celery sticks, with crackers, whatever you like. I would just eat it. I'd put it on everything. Okay. So, somebody in the chat is saying that arrowroot starch is made from cassava root from South America. So there's a factoid for you. Okay, so let's put together this super stretchy cheese sauce. And again, we're flavoring it like a creamy spinach dip, but you could use it. I think I'm going to make another batch. We're having poutine tonight, so I think I'm going to use that as my poutine cheese. If you don't know what poutine is, that means you're not Canadian, but that's okay. You can find out what poutine is. Okay, so let's put this together, and I'll show you how super easy it comes together. It's pretty cool, and we'll go from there. Let's check it out. I'll put you guys down here on the pot. Ooh, zoom. Oh, look at that zoom. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our plant milk. So this is 3/4 cup. And I think this recipe, you could probably double the recipe, but I wouldn't go more than that because it might just not be manageable when you're whisking it. So 3/4 cup of plant milk, I have oat milk, and oat milk is actually really good for this recipe because it thickens up itself. So we're going to put that in there. And then we're going to just dump everything else in. We have three tablespoons of nutritional yeast, so the nutritional yeast will thicken it and give it a cheesy flavor. And then we have 2 tablespoons of the arrowroot starch, which is sticking. And then, what are we doing? Okay, so then we'll do salt and pepper. I always put extra black pepper on top, like when I cook it, so you can put as much as you want. And then we're also, so I have this little garlic, let's see if you can see that, garlic seasoning mix. And this is, if you can get this stuff, I got this at Walmart. It is the best thing ever. I kind of found it when I was on Airbnb with my friend Jess, and we almost stole it from the Airbnb, but I bought this. So if you can get that, it's good. But otherwise, you can just use like garlic powder, some onion powder, like just a mix of sort of savory herbs. Don't go too crazy, but this one is good. So just a little, I'm putting maybe a teaspoon. This stuff is pretty powerful. Oh no. Oh, burn. Okay. So we'll put that in, and that's it. And we're going to turn the heat on. I'm doing like a little bit over medium, and we're going to just whisk it. So at the beginning, it's going to stay like pretty liquidy, and you're going to think that it's not going to thicken up, but all of a sudden it will thicken up and it will be amazing. So I just whisk that just for a tiny bit. So then what you need is a pan to put it in. And for me, I'm just using a little pie tin. And oops, let's pull that there. So this is just a little pie tin. I think it's an 8-inch. And this, for this amount of cheese, kind of makes it a very thin dip, which actually I don't mind because you can get all the way to the bottom of the pan with your cracker. But if you wanted to use a smaller square one or one of those little casserole dishes about that size, it would just mean a thicker dip. So I'll just stir this again, and I can't feel anything sticking to the bottom of the pan. So when you're stirring it and you feel a little bit sticking to the bottom of the pan, that's when you'll know that it's going to tighten up really fast. So for this, usually I would use parchment paper or something, but for this kind of dip, I don't think that's really going to work. So I just have a very good spray bottle for the oil, and I'm just going to put a little bit. Is there an arrowroot? Oh, tapioca. Yes, sorry, I just mixed that up. I saw you guys in the chat. So it is tapioca starch, not arrowroot. So it is tapioca. I actually think arrowroot would work too, but this is tapioca. So again, I still don't feel anything sticking yet, but it will happen quickly. So it's still pretty liquid in there, but you can see it's kind of getting thicker. So on my stove, I have this on like 6. I wouldn't go higher than maybe medium or just above medium because it'll happen too fast and you won't be able to stir it. So what we're waiting for is that to start sticking to the bottom, and then we're going to remove it from the heat right away. So I'm just going to make myself some room over here. So for the spinach, I put these in the wrong bowls because this is spinach here and you can't see it because of the color. So this was frozen spinach. This is 1/4 of a package of frozen spinach. And then I pressed really hard and got all the water out of it. We don't want too much water to go back into the recipe. And then we're also getting ready to use our medium tofu. You could probably use different tofu, but it won't work as well. So I would stick to the medium. So this is starting to thick up. You can see it sticking to the bottom. So I wonder if I can zoom in and we can see just how easy this is going to be. So we're just waiting for it. It's going to happen really quick. You can also use fresh spinach in this if you have it, but you'll need to dry it really well after you wash it, and then also chop it like super fine. Oh, so you can see it thickening up. It's gonna thicken up. It's so exciting. Oh, it's getting super thick now. You can see that it's there. So you don't want to let it get too thick, but you can see how it's starting to thicken up. And I'm going to take it off and I'm going to whisk it until it's super smooth. So you can see it's getting a bit smoother off the heat. Look at that. So it's like, oh my gosh, look at this. Oh, you can't see the camera. Look. Look how cool this is. It's so stretchy. So, it's so stretchy. You can also use this if you put like less of the seasonings in. You can probably use it on top of pizza actually and daub it on like a sort of Italian marinara pizza. That would be good. All right, back down we go. So into this, and you want to switch out your whisk because it's going to get too thick, but I'm going to try some because it's so good. And you want to get a spatula. So that's fine. So you want to mix this in when this is still warm. Otherwise, it'll get a little bit harder and then you won't be able to really mix everything in. It's going to be hard enough to mix it in. So what you want to do is put your spinach in. Now you can see that it's actually spinach. And then this is only a quarter of a block of medium tofu. So you don't want to put too much in. So the tofu, what this is basically going to do is like sort of thicken it up and give us more bulk in the pan. Because I think if we did it with just the tapioca cheese, it just would be too thin. So we're going to crumble this up as little as we can. You can use your fingers, but you're also going to mush it up with the spatula. So again, this is just to bulk it up and it gives you more dip. Now my hands are filthy. And it'll give you some protein and some nutrients and stuff like that. So it's good for you to have. And then we're just going to mix this up. I love how stretchy the cheese is. Oh, I love it. It doesn't sound very nice when you're stirring it, but it's good. And you basically, what we're doing to stir it is just making sure that the spinach and the tofu is like well distributed throughout of it. Although once you eat it, you will not care if you get a giant chunk of spinach in one bite because it is so good. So then we have our sort of chunky mass there, and we're going to take our oiled pan and we're just going to flatten that right in there like that. And you gotta scrape it all out and put it in the pan because it's so good. Or you can just lick it out of the pan if you want. That is also okay. But I like to get it all. Okay. So we need to use our fingers probably here. And that means you get to lick your fingers. Okay. So like I said, this size pan is going to make a pretty thin dip, but I like it that way. You don't want it to be super thick, but you know. Oops. Okay. It's okay that I use this finger because only me eating this. All right, there goes the spatula. So there you have that, and you could bake it up like this, but it's nice to have a little bit of seasoning on top to make like a crust. So I'm gonna put some more black pepper. You don't actually need too much salt in this. It was fine without it. And then I have some panko breadcrumbs, which are usually vegan as well, unless they're seasoned. So we're going to sprinkle those on. So this is going to give it that nice crust. And if you had some shredded vegan cheese, you could put that on. It would make it nice. But I have this vegan sort of bacon flavored Parmesan mix, and I'm going to put that on top, and it's so good. Oh, and I'm just catching up on the chats. I did not press the tofu that I used. I just took it right out of the package. I never press my tofu. And the amount of liquid that's in that little piece of tofu will be fine for the recipe. You don't want too much liquid, but we wanted a little bit. But again, mostly people press the tofu just to get the water out because, you know, maybe they don't like the texture or they want to add more flavor to it or whatever, but you don't have to press the tofu for this. So, this is it. So then what you want to do, you can freeze this probably. You can put it in the fridge for later and cook it later. And then when you're ready to cook it, let it come to room temperature first. And then you want to do about 400 degrees in the oven for like 10 minutes or less. So you gotta, when it gets close to 10 minutes, watch it. But if you do it high at like 400, then what you're gonna get is that like crusty top, which is like the delicious part that you dip your cracker in. And I have another pan in the oven that I'm gonna take out. So yes, I'm not ashamed to say that this week I will have eaten 3 pans of this stuff. Because I did a test run yesterday, and then I have that one. Actually, maybe I'll save that one. And then I have this one, which I don't know if you can hear it by the microphone. Can you hear that? It's sizzling. Look. Oh my God. It's so good. And now I might probably embarrass myself by eating it and burning my face off. But I don't care. It's that good. So this recipe I just kind of made up because I wanted to find an easy cheese recipe that didn't have like cashews and all of these like expensive ingredients. And then I thought I found this stretchy tapioca starch cheese would be like perfect. And then you just mix the spinach in. So I'm going to taste test this. I'll show you guys one more time because it is so delicious. You can see the crispy bits everywhere. I have to be careful because it's hot. So I'm using these Ryvita crackers, which are vegan. And we're going to give it a go. Oh, someone is saying cashew parm on top would be good. Yeah, any kind of like parmesan on top would be sort of classic cheese dip stuff. So I'm going to hold this towel under here so I don't burn myself live on TV. But this is so good. And like I said in some of my other videos, I'm kind of trying to watch my calorie intake. And this whole entire pan, I think, is 320 calories, I'm going to say. I wrote it down somewhere earlier. So that's pretty good for an entire tray of dip if you need to eat an entire tray of dip. But even half of it with some celery and crackers is like an amazing dip, and it's like 150 calories. So for me personally, that makes me happy. It just tastes, with the garlic powder and all the stuff in it, it just smells so savory. And then the nutritional yeast from the cheese that we made is like, oh, so good. Okay, I'm gonna see on the edge if I can get some crispy bits. Oh, and it's like all crusty on top. Ooh, I'm so excited. It looks really hot though, so I'll have to be careful. Let's see if I can zoom in. Oh, look at that. And it's, oh, perfect timing for the camera. It's so drippy and stretchy. Okay, I have to blow on this for a bit. Okay, it's not too hot. It's a bit hot. Sorry, this is a very drawn out taste test. I just don't want to like burn myself because I already did. It's a bit hot, but it's so good. Like, I can't get over the savoriness and how cheesy it turned out. Like, the nutritional yeast, like I love nutritional yeast, but in this recipe, for some reason, when it's all together, like the cheesy flavor is ridiculously good. And again, it was super easy with very cheap ingredients. And again, I'll reiterate that it was tapioca starch. So it was just tapioca starch, plant milk, nutritional yeast, and seasonings. And you cooked it together. We cooked it together in like 5 minutes, and then you bake it up. And like I said, I probably am gonna try freezing that other tray and see if we can take it out of the freezer later and test it out. So when I do that, I'll update the description of the video and let you guys know. But one more time, action shot. What? Crispy cheese. So that's it, everybody. I'm gonna eat this while I make our poutine for dinner. And please like this video. Please share it with people if you feel like it was a good video. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And one more thing that I'll tell you guys, if you want to support my channel and you have a few extra minutes, YouTube likes it if you're watching a video and then you go watch another video right after. If you stay on the platform, it makes YouTube think that my video was really good and that I brought you to YouTube, and then they'll favor my channel and my videos. So if you have time, please watch any other video. It doesn't have to be mine, although please watch my videos also. And that would be really awesome. Otherwise, that is it until next week. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. And I love you. Bye.